Hello everybody, welcome back to the shop, or should I say welcome back to outside the shop, or welcome to my pool. So I've been working on a project here for the last couple of months and I wanted to bring you along for the ride. Now this project is something I am not an expert at. As a matter of fact, this is the first time I've ever worked with this material, this aluminum material, in any large fashion. But I learned a lot and I want to share that with you. Now, when we bought this property, this pool existed, it was already here, but the construction of the pool was of less than acceptable standards, at least less than acceptable by my set of standards. One of the problems we have here in Florida is it's hot, it's really sunny. Stupid. One of the problems we have here in Florida is it's hot, it's really sunny, and the way our pool is laid out, it gets basically full sun all the time. Well, when the wife is out there watching the kids, or we have company over, or friends, or fellow YouTubers come and hang out, it's blistering hot a lot of times in the summertime, no shade. So we wanted to build some sort of shade there. So what I've done is I built a pergola. Now, if you don't know what a pergola is, it's basically like a grape arbor. It's a place that gets semi-shade. So some light can come through, but it blocks a little bit of light, gives you a little bit of reprieve. Essentially what this is 4 poles. They're structural poles, they're 1/4-inch wall aluminum poles, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those in the back are straight across. It makes a triangular frame, which you can see here. And then on top of that triangular frame are what I call the rafters. The rafters are all cut at different lengths. And then on top of that is some 2x2 square, which goes this way, which provides shade during the day. So the idea here is, sun comes up, comes over, you'll move over here to this pergola. Now as you can see, we haven't started construction on this yet. There's one of the poles right there, 2, 3, 4. Here's all the electrical, all the wire has been pulled. This particular structure here, where it's going to be, has its own 20 amp breaker. Yes, it'll be a GFI breaker. Yes, I know how it's got to be done. Although it looks like this has spent an incredible amount of money having all this done, I've done most of it. The fencing, all the infrastructure work here, the aluminum work, the electrical work, everything I've done myself. Other than laying the pavers, I did not lay the pavers. My back just wouldn't handle it. I've done all of this myself. So here's a little bit of infrastructure for you. See this box? This box is an internet router. Now, thought ahead, and I ran a conduit all the way back to the internet site so that eventually I can have internet connectability out here at the pool. Just trying to think ahead of those things that I wanted to do in the future. Even though this is not operational yet, the box is already done. Also, I want to put an outside pool shower right there, get most of the dirt off the kids before they jump in the pool so I don't have to get it out of the pool filter. So again, water, see the power right there? That power goes eventually where these poles are. There's going to be one of those point of use hot water heaters. That's someday when my ship comes in and I can afford it, but all the infrastructure is already done. There's a water supply already brought in here. Of course, I won't need an out for the hot water. It'll come right here to the shower, which will spray right outside of the pool here to rinse the kids off. Here is my material sitting out on the ground. I'm short a little bit of stuff, not a big deal. The warehouse was short. I told them not to sweat it because I needed to do the structure and the wiring before I started actually putting the top on it. That made them nice and relaxed. They'll take time to give me some good material and not try to pick through the pile and give me some that are eh. You know how that goes. And this stuff is pretty neat stuff. You could do a lot of stuff at home that most people don't normally think of that, you know, you could do if you have just a basic, like a DIY kind of mindset. I mean, you could build chicken coops out of this stuff. You could build screen rooms. You could build forts for your kids if you found like scrap leftover stuff. It's pretty neat stuff. It is a little bit wiggly. It is a little bit flexible. But actually that might work in your favor because it allows you a little bit of cheat room to move it. The other thing I've learned with this stuff when you work with it is it gets really hot in the sun. I mean, it gets really hot in the sun. And it expands and also contracts at nighttime. So you do have to have a little bit of mindset that it's gonna move on you, but it's not hard to work with at all. So I have two beams here, 1, 2. Those beams are 25 feet long. I have one beam, see, it goes way back here, goes all the way down there. That beam is 35 feet long. That's gonna be the rear span there. Now these beams are pretty interesting to work with, and a little bit of a learning curve when I started working here. These beams, here's a little cutoff section from the other side here. These are 2-piece beams, meaning it comes apart like a clamshell. The way it works is it has a textured or serrated looking edge right there. Also has one right there. The other half of the beam has the mating side there and there. And the way this works, if I can do this one-handed, the two of these fit together just like that. They make one beam. And the way when they fit together, you just put a self-drilling screw in the top and a self-drilling screw in the bottom. Because of that serration and the screws, they mate together and become one beam. Now that's great, because A, it's half the weight, which these aren't very heavy to begin with, but it allows you to put one side up like this, right? And get all your wiring in it. Ooh, that was loud. Here's a little aid we came up with to help us. You can see right here, 2x4, 2x4 welding F-clamp. The plastic here only protects the finish from getting scratched up. It allowed me to set the beam here where two of us could put this together, and my buddy JB's helping me. So we're able to have this sit here, take the load, because it over 32 feet it does sag, holds it nice and straight. We can get all the screws and everything secured right away. It's just a little cheating way. Same thing down there, you can see, and the same thing up here. One other thing we did, it was JB's idea. Great idea. We made some little S-clamps, put some paracord on it, and these little hooks go around the beam, hook up there. In case the beam tries to move or drop out of whatever's holding it, fall over, there's a safety there to keep that expensive beam from hitting the ground. That honestly is really the most expensive part of this whole deal. So the outside beams are up. You should be able to take a look and see how the beams that wrap all the way around are. And to give you an example of how this works, this is a little drop piece here. It's just a cutoff. But as you can see, this will fit right on top of here. And when this is all put together, we'll come right over and meet right up with the end. And now I have a void space back here. It doubles the strength of the beam. You can see there was a screw there. We just use that for holding them together to saw them, because we put them together and we cut them as one. We'll be able to fit all the wiring, run all the electrical wiring in here. We are making some electrometricity. The electricians don't squint too much, because here you go. Basically, there is a neutral and a safety ground that makes the whole way all the way around here, back to the point. All of them tie to this metal structure, which is bonded. Also, all of our power coming in comes in one of these conduits here, out the other conduit. So it's a loop. It will tie to a box right here, which will also bond. This is bonded to the pool structure, the rebar that's in the pool. It's also bonded to a grounding rod and to the lighting electrical system for the pool. So everything is tied to one common space. The only thing I have yet to do is bond the metal fence around the pool. So I need to bond the metal fence around the pool. That will bond to the same spot as all this, so we never have the potential of having an electrical potential between one or the other. It eventually will all be zero. Right now, there's no electrometricity here. There's only electrometricity over there at that one. So we're safe to work. You can see on the inside structures I've already mounted for the downlights. Hot, neutral, and ground come out. All these wires are just here temporarily. I just got done pulling all the wire, so I'm counting all my circuits and making sure I have the right amount of grounds and the right amount of hot legs and switch legs and, you know, blah, 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 right? So everything has started to be labeled and figured it out. Just wanted to show you how this is gonna go. real quick trip out here beside the pool. These are the other half of those shorter two beams. I've already mounted all the electrical receptacles on them. They have the chafe protection on them there. As you can see here, this will be the outside beam, but I've already got the 4 boxes here already mounted. These will be for the LED floodlights. There'll be 4 facing this way, which faces out towards the pond, and eventually the shop, which is back in, and shed, barn and shed, which is back in there. But it'll light this whole area up at night should the kids decide to, or adults want to come outside and play. So you can see over here on this side, all the home runs, the switch legs, the neutral ground loop, everything is kind of all hanging there. What I'm going to do is affix it to the inside of that beam right there with some little sticky zip tie holders. I'll get everything neatened up, and then I can put the other half of the beam up, pull all my wires through, and make that one beam. It's a lot easier than trying to fish that wire through later. Would be a complete nightmare. Okay, so now that all the main support beams are up, they're secured, screwed in, wires are pulled, we're good to go. The next thing we're gonna do, because I have help today to help me run these, they're 25-foot lengths, so to run them through the saw and cut them to length, is we're gonna cut all the rafters. Now I'm not gonna mount the rafters until I terminate all these wires and put all the fixtures on them and make sure that all the lights work and that there's no pinched wires and, you know, anything that could potentially go wrong, because on top we're gonna put a bunch of clips to hold the rafters, and those work off pop rivets. Once the pop rivets are in place, well, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to take these things back down. So here's the plan. I went ahead and measured all these rafters, and to get the length on these rafters, literally what I did is I laid them up here, spaced them out approximately, and then took a garden hose and laid a garden hose out there and just kept adjusting the curve of the garden hose to give me about what I wanted to stick out. The back is all the same length. I measured from the garden hose to the beam here, that's the length, and then I just transferred that obviously off paper. Now I already have that radius that I wanted, so all I have to do is measure each one of these beams times 2, because obviously it's the same over here, and I have my beam length. There's no more guesstimation or guesswork to get them the way I want. So we've measured them. We're gonna take it over to the saw. We're gonna saw them out 2 of every size and get those beams already done. Help's here today, so I'm gonna make the most of it.